Well, welcome back, everyone, to Get Celebritized. And I say welcome back because for the first time, I am doing a part two from one of my celebrity interviews. This woman, trust me, is worth a part two because the first time we didn't even have a chance to really dive deep into what she's doing now and how she can help and support you and people you know. So it's none other than Barbara Majeski from The Today Show. And we had just gotten to talk about how she got on The Today Show and all that good stuff, but there's so much more. So I'm going to bring her back up right now. She's a TV personality and a lifestyle expert for The Today Show. She's a survivor of stage 3 colon cancer. She is an influencer of hope for sure on all social media platforms, including she has over 34,000 fans and followers like myself right there on Clubhouse, because I'm definitely one of her fans, and over 22,000 strong and growing on Instagram. So let's bring up Barbara Majeski right now to the show. Get Celebritized.
So good to be here. It's so funny you bring up those two. Would you believe TikTok is my biggest platform and I'm
Is
on
it
there
really?
like never? Yeah.
Well, how many followers?
I think 65,000.
Well, now I have to go over to TikTok and see you. I dabble over there and I get, a little bit and then I forget about it. And I'm going to go over there now. So, well, since we're on that, Barbara, you and I are obviously not 20 years old. We're a little over 20. Why TikTok? And what are you gaining from being on TikTok? Let's jump into that.
I think the point that what I'm always trying to teach is never judge anything.
Mm-hmm.
Get curious about everything and dip your toe into the water. And I didn't learn this until after getting through cancer and my marriage imploding in a dumpster fire, where I just started to abandon judgment. I had to learn all the things the hard way. And Aurea, I have to say, like, I know, like, it's just like everything, you can grow through anything.
Yeah.
Cancer and my marriage falling apart were such blessings, because I used to stand in such judgment of so many things. And when all of a sudden you're confronted with your own situation, you'd be surprised the decisions that you make. I used to judge people for staying in a bad marriage. I'd be like, oh my God, I would never. Right? I'd be so sanctimonious. Like, oh my God, I would just leave. And then my dumpster fire happened. And I was like, oh shit, I can't just leave. I have 3 kids and I have a life, and it's so much more complicated. But it really
like you're dating. Dating, you can break up. It's so different. And Barbara, you're in the media, so you'll appreciate this. When I first did my book, I Won't Survive, I'll Thrive, and I did all these news. I did this book tour, and the one thing that kept coming me back, I must have done 400 radio shows on this one topic, and my publicist at the time came up with it, and it was just the hottest topic. And every news industry and every radio show want to know, why does a woman stay in an abusive relationship? So I had to repeat myself a million squillion times, and you don't get the black and white answer. You get the answer that isn't an answer. And we were just talking about that. So yeah, I get it.
It's just so true. You have to kind of go through things so that you can grow through them.
Yeah.
I would have never been, just in this space of lack of judgment, where I no longer judge things. Like, I get curious, and it is the most powerful decision you can make in transformation, because it really does come down to a choice. You can either judge it or you can get a little curious about it.
I love that, Barbara. It's saying curious. You're not just saying just don't judge. You're giving us something else to think about. Don't judge. Be curious. Ask questions. I love that. Gives them something else to do.
And I think in this climate, even with all the anti-Semitism and racism and what people are saying with Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, and I'm like, stop judging, start asking more questions, and to find resolution, get curious, and start finding out, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. Maybe it's not what people are saying. It's how they're saying it, which is becoming offensive, but maybe there's more. And I just feel this sense of wow, that's some pretty fiery stuff coming at you. So anyway, I had to learn the hard way, of being less judgmental and sanctimonious, I know everything, and just more curious.
I love that we're curious too. And you're in the media, and so am I. And we get, until you experience it yourself, I know you have gotten some false blocking and some false stuff going on of all things. I've had wrong things total lies said about me in major magazines for the crazy. And until you experience that, you realize not everything you read is true about celebrities or anyone. You've got to stop, like you said, get careers, ask questions. And some things just aren't our business either. Can't just jump on the guilty train. And I know, Barbara, you've had some trouble with the press and some horrible things happen that is so ironically stupid. I can't even imagine how you go through that. What do you say to people that go through something that's completely a lie and it's so outrageous? If you want to talk about it, you can. If not, I understand.
Yeah,
But
no, I'll talk about it.
you're the influencer of hope. Give them hope because
Yeah.
it's happening to so many people.
I think there's this faith that everything is happening for you. Everything, you're not given anything you can't handle. And although at times the burden might seem heavy, there's never anything I've gone through that didn't help me grow as a human being and give me more muscles of compassion, knowingness, like be able to dig from this well of understanding. And I think that's what's made me a more dynamic influencer, speaker, keynote, like whatever it might be, is like, oh, I got you because I've been there. I'm not speaking from a place of like probability or I read it in a book. I'm actually speaking a lot of times from a path that I have traveled, and it's given me such a depth of knowingness that I'm truly grateful for. So right now, for all the listeners that are tuning in, I am permanently suspended off of Twitter. I have also been restricted on Facebook. And it's been like, I'm like, why would you attack me? There's pedophiles. There are true terrorists, criminals. There are criminals literally all over social media, and you chose me.
And it's not even true what they're accusing you of, which is absolutely.
So I'm Jewish. My maiden name is Schwartz. I am 100% Ashkenazi Jew. My parents are Jewish. My father was born on a train escaping Russian persecution. Wow. And my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. Oh, I am kicked off of platforms because they believe I'm anti-Semitic. I'm actually the other side of that. I am very committed to speaking of the Holocaust and making sure that we remember the Holocaust so it doesn't repeat itself. Amen. But it has been interpreted that I am anti-Semitic, and because that everything is artificial intelligence, I have no way to, kind of combat it. It's like, I submit a I think you misinterpreted what I was trying to talk about. And it's frustrating. But then again, if I look at it in a global perspective, I'm like, there's something wrong here. I'm like, I'm being canceled for being anti-Semitic without judge or jury or trial. I'm like,
right. They just canceled you. They blocked you. And then they don't even know who you are and look at your history and that you're Jewish.
Aurea, and to dive deeper into it, which I think there's so much value in this story because I can really speak from a space of like, oh my God, I'm being attacked as a Jew for being anti-Semitic. And when I unpack this, so in 2015, wait for this. Okay. I hosted a Holocaust survivor event in Princeton, New Jersey. It was standing room only. I'm telling you, we packed the place beyond capacity because I honored the 15 survivors that were still alive during that time. And I was the co-chair. I was also the MC. When I tell you, you could have heard a pin drop, and it'll probably be the most profound event that I ever host in my lifetime. I'm like not doing the service to the event. And in that event, Aurea, I said, I will stand up if I see atrocities of tyranny or, mistreatment of others or inequality. And I literally am like, and that's like embedded in my subconscious mind. So now I'm back in the trenches, almost like it's mind-blowing. So it's fascinating that we're in this space right now. And I'm okay with being I think I'm supposed to be where I'm supposed to be, although it's frustrating and it's compromising my life. But I'm like,
I know. I just wish there was something we could do too. That can somebody like knock on there and say, hello, do you know who Barbara is? You're accusing the wrong person. I could see, I know we don't have freedom of speech anymore on social media.
Not really.
Even if somebody says something that they really believed and like, oh my gosh, she believes that. And then because a lot of that's going on and that's fine. You don't agree with people, but for you to be blocked because of anti-Semitism is just like a joke. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous.
It is, but how powerful, that's the thing that I keep going to for anybody who's going through something tough. Be grateful for it, because I
Mhm.
do believe the universe gives you only what you can handle, and that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And
Yeah. Mhm.
when it's just this, I remember when I was going through cancer and somebody said this to me, and it might be very quippy and cliche, but it is so true. Like, the universe gives the toughest battles to the strongest soldiers. So although I'm like, why are you throwing another battle in front of me? Like, have I not warriored up enough?
Yeah.
Have I not
I have enough
shown you
character.
I've like a character for
And it builds
days.
character. Okay, I'm a character. Stop.
I am Disney on ice, okay, kids? I have more character in my pinky than
Yes.
most people have in their entire being. So if we could just pump the brakes. But I feel like we make this, there's something, Araya, so like, for me, I go to like these spiritual contracts, and I do believe I made a contract in some sort of form or fashion of like, I will fight against injustice.
Passion.
I will stand up. So I posted something on social media yesterday, and this girl,
Be careful, they'll ban you.
yeah, people are coming at me, and it's like the most benign thing. I'm like,
Oh my
really,
gosh.
this is what you're picking up? But these people just come at me, and I'm like, they all that's what I'm saying to myself right now, is that although I'd rather be on the side of more I'd want to be popular. I want to be liked. I want to be queen of the prom. I want to win homecoming queen. I want to be on the homecoming
Yes, you
court.
should.
I want to be like Miss Congeniality. I want to win all the things.
Right.
For some reason, I am on this side of popularity right now. But I hope that your listeners, this lands for somebody, that you are put in these positions because you are capable of these positions, and you are supposed to flex this
Mhm.
internal muscle. So that's where I'm at right now, of like, why are you giving me this bag of
Yeah.
garb?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Well, you hit a lot of good things on the head with that, Barbara. Like we were given what we're never. I always believe we're not ever given more than we can handle. We do constantly question God, like, "Oh, Lord, I have to go through this now. Didn't I just come out of that? And how much muscles do I actually need?" But I agree with you too. I feel we have a calling, and you have this passion now to stand up. So before we get into all that you're doing now to help others and your coaching and your challenges, and you have an amazing podcast I want to talk about, give the listeners and the viewers some advice now, because we've been talking about the social media. What is your best advice? Should people, and I know I got a lot of young women will listen to my show as well, should they stand up and be a voice, but risk being canceled? Is there a way to come back? Like, give us some advice on this new landscape. How much do you speak up? Do you? How can you be a warrior for injustice when you get shut down and now
Mhm.
you have no platform? What say you?
So I really feel there's a couple things I want to give advice on. Number one, listen twice as much as you speak. You need to understand what the other side is saying so that you really can validate what you are advocating for. And I find that people that come at me actually don't listen. And they stay firm in their narratives and their beliefs and their affirmations. And I'm like, I just need you to listen to the other side, because I think if we listen more, we can actually articulate our side more, or we're going to become more compassionate to the other side, and then find that we come together. And I do feel that we're stronger together. Like, I do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel very, I feel this like sense of movement, of like, if we can just figure out how to come together and not be so apart, like
Yeah.
Kanye West actually could be a catalyst for real progressive change in both the Black community and the Jewish community, if we allow it to. If we allow it to further divide us, we are screwed. But if
Mhm.
we see that both of these cultures, ethnicities, what have you, are stronger and better together, man,
Wow.
we
I
can
agree.
do some shit in this world.
We come together.
Um,
Absolutely, Barbara.
come
So
to
agree.
Yeah, so I feel like, number one, listen twice as much as you speak. Know the other side of
Two
the
ears. One mouth.
argument. Two ears, one mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak.
Mhm.
Um, and when you find your space of belief, don't be afraid to speak up, even if your voice is shaking. And that's a quote, I believe, by Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Um,
You don't have to be liked, and you can be the juiciest peach on the planet. Not everybody's gonna like peaches, but you are here to leave a legacy and an impact and a value. But you're not going to give much value if you aren't as much of a listener as you are an advocate. So
Great advice. Great advice. If there's more listening going on, more empathy, more understanding, and agree to disagree. Because I think if you listen, if you disagree with someone, that's great. Give your voice, give your opinion. We can only have more conversations and less shutdown, and stop blocking everybody. If anybody would have taken that moment on Twitter or Facebook to ask you some questions and maybe come on your comments and say, explain whatever it is that they thought that you said.
100%.
Their answer, but
it could have been more powerful. So I was shut down by the Jews. I was down by the Anti-Defamation League. I'm like, what? I literally donate to the Holocaust Survivor Museum in Washington, D.C.
And you are one. I mean, your family is one.
And I grew up with my grandparents as Holocaust survivors. I have stories after story after story after story of how they imparted to me of like, never let this happen again. And I give money to the Holocaust. So I had posted an article from the Holocaust Museum, the Holocaust Survivor Museum in Washington, D.C. on the Anti-Defamation League to remind them of like, this is where the Holocaust started, when the Jews were being mistreated and under a false narrative that they were spreading typhus. And I got shut down. And I think the power in that of like a Jew being shut down for, it's like, I as angry as I am, I think I'm like the strongest voice in this space of like, we got problems here. We have serious problems. You don't want to listen. That you don't even want to listen to those who want to make sure that this Holocaust doesn't happen again. We have big problems. So as much as I I'm like, as like we said, Aurea, like I'm just a suburban mom. I want to run my podcast. I like to do television. I don't really want to be in conflict. I'm not. I like people liking me. I want to be queen of the prom. I said that already. Yet here I am in this crossfire. With like, and I ask myself, Aurea, all the time, like, why me? And then
I can already tell, Barbara, from what you're saying, you're called for something bigger. You're not. I don't want to just say, "Oh, suburban housewife." You can't just say that because you're out there, and there's nothing wrong with being a suburban housewife. I'm in the suburbs.
I love it. I just want to go to.
That's gonna be calling for you.
Right. I just want to go to the swim meet this afternoon. I don't feel like battling for, equality right now. I want to go to a swim meet, but
in peace, right? I just want to be in peace. But you've always been very outspoken about you're a philanthropist. I was listening to everybody's got to listen to part 1 of this interview we had last week because it's so good. You talk about how you got on the Today Show, that you are a loud voice, that you're a loud voice for nonprofits and for the disabilities because your brother was had a disability
Fragile X. My brother has a neurological impairment. Yes.
And you did this wonderful nonprofit event, charity event. You want to be the voice. So I believe, like myself, I want to be the voice for good news, the voice for good people. But there's a bigger calling on us when we have that. It's not big or not more important, but just God has given us this voice, this power, this percolation.
Experience.
That's not going to go smooth for us. We're not going to just be able to sit back and go to the swim meet. We're going to be preaching at the swim meet about injustice and standing up for the little guy and standing up for the woman who can't speak for herself or the children or whoever doesn't have a voice. It's just get used to it. It's going to be our journey. Enjoy it because God has really picked and selected. The universe has selected an amazing person in you, Barbara, because you're passionate and you're willing to speak up. You really are. So enjoy the journey. You will always be starting a battle, in the middle of a battle, or coming out of a battle, but they're good battles for good causes. Because at the end of this, we're going to talk about your legacy. And your legacy is going to be very profound because of all this. And your kids are watching you and going to be doing big things too because their mom does. And I love the story you told. We'll have to listen to part 1 for that as well. When they see mom doing things like that make them go, wow, they'll be wow as well. So really excited about that. All right. Well, now we know that you have come through some stuff. Okay. You're still going through it again. Never ends. It's all good. But I want to talk to the viewers and the listeners about now how you went from, are you still on the Today Show? Because I know I want to talk about your journey now is a little bit different because you've really expanded in your walk and how you serve your community and audience. It's not, I don't want to say just on the Today Show, but it's gotten so much bigger. So tell us if you're still there and what's happening.
The truth is I lead with intention. And I think this is something that everybody I can hear this every single day and it hits me in a million different ways on every different day. And I think when we start our day with the understanding of like, what is our intention today? And I do believe we get out, we're here to live our best life. God, the universe, your spirit guides, whatever you want to like subscribe to, it's irrelevant to me, wants us to live our best life, happy, healthy, wealthy, wise. Like we really do. And I think that I always go to like intentionality of like, okay, what's my intention? So when I started out in TV, my intention was like, you know what? I just really want to amplify my profile, my voice, and put myself out there, because the back part of that was the more of a voice I have, the better, the more ears I can hit about speaking for the most vulnerable, like using our voice for good, using our voice of value, or using our gifts, if not our voice. So my gift is my voice, my gift of gab, right? That everybody has
I can
gifts,
relate.
right? But everybody's got their gifts. Like use your gift in living in service of others. Oprah told me that. She's like, success is a byproduct of living in service of others.
Okay, no, wait a minute. We can't let you slide back that. Like the way Barbara
Yeah.
just said, no, Oprah told me this. So you and Oprah, you're close. So we need to.
That's a stretch, but I love that because it's just how I placed it. That is like the interpretation. So let me be very frank with everyone. I met Oprah, like we all meet Oprah. I was at the Oprah show when she was doing her Oprah show. I raised my hand in the after show, and believe it or not, everybody's raising their hand. I'm this little nugget. If you meet me in real life, I am not that big. So I'm this little nugget in some corner seat, and like not even like centrally located. I'm in some seat, who knows where. And and I'm 31 years old.
So last year.
But she saw me, and I think that was energy. I think I was like, Oprah, I really sincerely have a sincere question. And I asked her, I said, what kind of advice? So that's how I met Oprah. Okay, let's cut to this is my Oprah story.
Though. But I love it. Started your whole journey being on TV. Okay, I love it.
It wasn't like we were hanging out to have breaking bread, and I was like hanging out with Stedman, breaking cigars. I mean, I was at the Oprah show, and I asked her a question that I happened to ask her a very good question, I think. And what was, what advice would you give to somebody who aspired for your level of success? And she said, you can't. Success is just a byproduct. Success is a byproduct. Ooh. Like let that land. Success is a byproduct of living in service and helping others. And I think that's just been my compass, like, are you serving? What's your intention? I always go to that. And Aurea, it's just every time I go to that, it's like it reroutes my ship that maybe has gone off course. So like, what's your intention? My intention is to live a really great life, live a life of service, and advocate for those who can't speak for themselves. Like all of a sudden my ship that is like gone into like who knows where, it's like
comes back right on track. Mm-hmm. That's really profound. I hope everybody really got that and rewind that one, because that's really smart. And it reminds me of what I say, like what goes around comes around. When you're doing what you're meant to do, good things happen. Doesn't mean we don't have hard times, but those are all part of what we just talked about, making it even better. We wouldn't be talking about divorce, life after divorce, life after cancer, life after all this. If we didn't personally go through that, it gives us that soapbox, and everybody has their own soapbox. Some choose to stand on it, and some choose to hide behind it. And we hope, women like you and me, Barbara, that do use our voice. We're just very passionate. We want everybody to use the voice, or grab someone like you and me to say, we'll help you be the voice for you. And that's where that spotlight comes in, whether it's your podcast or a television show or anything else, and your coaching as well. So let's talk about that, because that was really great advice. I love it. So you're still on the Today Show or not, and you're moving on to coaching. You're doing so many great things. I want to know all about it.
So I just did a great segment on the Today Show, a Halloween DIY segment. We're heading into Christmas, so it's, whenever anybody hears this. But I'm always doing the Today Show. I usually do their Super Bowl segments, their summer segments.
Is it like monthly or weekly, or how often do you go on it?
I would say like 4 to 6 times a year, depending on the year. COVID definitely put a little kink in that. But I'm on TV, I'd probably say once a month. It depends on the show. So I do get offers a lot to do a lot. And I'm like, and that took me a long time before I became like popular enough to be like, oh, Barb's an ace, and like Barb's a home run ball. Like, book her, she'll just show up and do her shit. Like that took me a while to build up. Now I'm more discerning because there's so much work that goes involved.
There is. What's the best gig that you've had so far? Because you're on the Today Show, I think that would be interesting to know.
Okay, so there's nothing like the Today Show. Let's just say that hands down.
No question. Didn't say it was better, but what's another really great gig?
I only want to say that because the Today Show is so iconic, and
Mhm.
being on the plaza, and just there's something magical about
Rockefeller
being
Center,
there's
born and
nothing like
raised.
it. So like when I'm there and just taking the background, the BTS, the behind the scenes pictures, like it's not lost on me. I mean, this is like where like serious shit went down. Katie Couric, Matt Lauer, I mean,
Mhm.
Brian Kimball. Like, I mean, this
Oh,
place.
you're talking my whole life. Yeah, I was born and raised in New York City. Skated in the
Um,
Rockefeller Center all my
who,
life. Love it.
Wilford, who am I thinking of? Does the Smuckers?
Oh, Willard,
Willard Scott, Willard
yes,
Scott,
yes,
Al
love it.
Roker. I mean, we're
Mhm.
talking like
Legends.
the
Yeah.
American morning TV legends.
Mhm.
Um, but Fox and Friends is actually one of the easiest shows to do because they are like, hey, Barb, they appreciate me. They
Nice.
appreciate my professionalism. They appreciate my competency, and they kind of just give me a lot of bandwidth.
What do
They're
they ask you to
really
do? What have you done?
they're like, "Hey, Barb, will you do the World Cup thing?" And I'll be like, "Oh, okay." They're like, "Barb, what are you doing?" And I'll be like, list a few things. And they're like, "Great, we'll see you Monday. We'll see you Tuesday." They are very like, they kind of parent the way that I parent, which is like, I believe in you and I know you're going to do a great job. So here, take the ball and run with it. And I appreciate that. They don't over manage me. And I
Hmm.
enjoy the energy at Fox and Friends, believe it or not. So
Yeah.
everyone's like, wait, Fox and Friends and the Today Show, like you're like all over the place.
It's
But
not far
remember,
from you though. If they know location-wise, it's not far in New York.
politically.
I know that. I knew you were going. But location-wise,
Location wise, we're walking distance.
Exactly.
But politically, we are actually on opposite sides of the universe, not even on the other side of the
Right.
world.
And then look at that. You can still work together. I'm sure that shocks some people. Like, why are you a Fox? And here you are. And you're saying, they're nice to work with and they work with you and all conversations, all
Well,
voices.
let me say
Right.
this, Aurea. I think I cannot appreciate people's opinions, or I don't like some people's opinions, but it doesn't mean I don't like them.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Feel the same way. Well said. So now you got some more gigs because the Today Show, you're still there. We're going to be looking for you on all sorts of platforms now as well. And now you've got extra time on your hands because you do that as you see fit as far as when they need you. It's called a gig. You do these gigs there, which is wonderful being a contributor, but you have more time on your hands and you are a go-getter. You are not a slothful person, just want to sit back and eat bonbons in between shows. So now what are you into? Because this is what's really serving so many more people on a more personal level because everybody's raving about your programs now, your challenges, and your podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, they're so fun. And thank you for bringing it up. So it's interesting. The impetus for all this, people would always ask me, Barb, how'd you get on TV? And I'd be like, well, I hired a media trainer. And you ever just answer something? You're like, that's not the answer. I'm like, well, but I did. But what I realized is there's so much more than just buying educational classes, buying coaches, buying books, buying supplements, buying Pelotons, memberships, subscriptions. I realize it's not the buying that gets you the things, it's doing the things that get you the things. I didn't get on TV because I bought access through a media trainer. I actually really studied television. I really studied how to speak, how to articulate myself, how to speak in sound bites. I practiced and I studied and then I practiced some more and then I invested in myself. And so the impetus for me launching these programs, so I run challenges right now. Sometimes I do intensives, which are 14-day intensives. And other times I do challenges, which are like we set one micro non-negotiable, which is my workout holiday challenge, which I'm running right now. The concept is I know you know what to do, but actually consistently doing it. I
Yeah.
think we buy the guitars and they get dusty. We buy the Pelotons, we get dusty. The books, that Rosetta Stone. So my courses now are like, okay, wait a second. There's a gap between knowing what you need to do and actually doing it. And that
Yeah.
gap is discipline and commitment and consistency. I know you want the outcomes and I know you're willing to invest. Those are the two things that I know about people. They want the outcomes and they are willing to make the investments. Like people are spending millions of dollars to get the things, but it's that abyss of the doing that people struggle with. And that's my niche of like, no. I'm going to make you do the things because I'm going to put you in my accountability group and I'm going to be like, hey. So I teach
That's
accountability. But I don't use the word accountability because that's so like vanilla, and I'm not vanilla. I'm like multi-flavored.
Mhm.
I just
You're rocky road.
I teach and I help and I really do hold people on fire. So right now that I do a workout challenge, which is so I do workout challenges throughout the year because I do believe when you commit to moving every single day, like the
Yeah.
physical movement actually predicates all other movements in your life. So whereas people like sign up because like I just want to get in shape, it's actually a mind shaping exercise because when you start physically moving your body on a consistent basis, you also start moving your mind of like, what else can I set my mind to? Because when you finish one of my challenges, you learn that when you set your mind to anything, you can accomplish it. Like there's this new confidence at the end of all my programs of like, if I can do this for 14 days, I can do this for 60 days, or I can do this for 90 days. What else can I do? Well, I bet you can learn the guitar in 90 days. I bet you can learn a new language if you're consistent. So that's my niche of like, I'm here to take you from information to transformation by taking action. And that's what my challenges, my intensives, my
I love
like
that.
resets. I'm like, and if you sign up, I'm like, you're not just gonna pay me money. I don't need your money. I don't. I really wanna help you. Like, I'm like, "No
You
more."
want results. You want to have results. Is there power in not doing it alone? Because so many people like they will get a book or get something, but it's that abyss in in between, like you said. Do you feel that's because they're not alone? They need somebody. We all do to help them navigate through because you're going to have hard times in anything you're trying to do. So do you feel like that piece, that human piece, is the important
Mhm.
part?
Statistically, you're more likely to stick with something over 85% when you schedule to do it with somebody else. There's a
I believe it.
statistically epic transformation between like if you hire a personal trainer and you schedule it 7 days a week, you're statistically more likely to show up because when you pay, number one, you pay attention. Number two, you don't feel like literally you would rather rip your toenails out than have to cancel on somebody and then waste money.
Thank
Like
you.
there's a lot, like everyone's like, oh, even if you, but that's really where the magic happens is when you do things and you're not in the mood and you're not motivated or
That's the
inspired.
discipline. That's the discipline.
It's so much about people are so like I run ambassador programs also where that's a whole coaching I teach leadership. And I never say I don't teach you how to keep people motivated. Oh, please. It's like trying to teach you how to stay crying all the time. Those are emotions. Why are
Right.
you fixated on how to keep motivated and inspired?
Be
You
physical.
cannot do that. But you can teach people how to be consistent, how to
Mhm.
be diligent, and how to make good choices, the better choices
That's
when
good.
you don't want to. So anyway, I think to answer your question, the magic is like that space of like, no, you said you were going to show up today, and I'm looking. Where's your post? And is
Mhm.
it annoying? It's only annoying when you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
and but when you do and you're finished at the end, you're like, I really appreciate that you were there and made me do it. There's so much power in in that like the magic is actually in those days where you don't want to do it and
And you do it.
you do it anyway. That's when the transformation happens.
I
But if you're
think that accountability leads to accomplishment because you're saying they're accountable and then they accomplish it.
Mhm.
And that feeling of accomplishment's great.
And
And
when
you know,
you accomplish just the smallest things like, so my intensives are generally 14 days, which just so your listeners know, I do 14-day intensives, which are called resets. And I'm actually doing a 14-day reset in February, which is very cool for divorcees or anybody who's going through a divorce. I'm doing it with like
really?
these experts, they're called. It's going to be I've never done this before, but I think it's going to be it's so good because it's for people that have gone through a divorce, such as me,
Okay.
to help you get to better ground. But what happens at the end is like, you're like, well, if I can do that for 14 days, because the 14 days does loop, like you're supposed to re-loop it to get to 28 days because 28 days leads to a habit.
But they only get you for 14 and
They
then they
get me
but
live for 14 days.
okay.
But
Is that a
then
magic number? Do you find that's a sweet spot to have you for 14
to me,
days?
that's a magic number because I think you do need that like person, that coach that's like,
Man,
okay,
I would think 90 days. Don't just
I know, and some people do, and that's why I do other things, but just one micro non-negotiable. But the 14-day intensives, what's cool about those is they re-loop. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep this group open. So I keep the group going. I ask them to stack or layer a new non-negotiable, set new goals, and then they reloop the 14-day intensive, but it's self-directed. But it leads to 28 days. And listen, I don't just disappear and ghost on them. I'm not that
Right. They can
ridiculous.
find you.
Like, I'm right there.
You're everywhere.
I'm right there in the group, kind of commenting and like adding little things, but showing them that you are capable of we can rebuild, like you can rejuvenate your life. So anyway, it is all, there's a lot of magic in there and a lot of, at the end of it, having that reestablished confidence in yourself of like, wait a second, if I just focus on anything, I can do anything. But you have to focus on like, what is it? Your health, wealth, or your happiness, and then get hyper fixated on it. And it can move the needle in your life, and that's my niche. People are like, Barb, what's your niche? I'm like, people that want to improve their station in life. That's it.
That's great because you make us focus on one thing. So we don't come in, I want to do health, happiness, life, love. It's all right, pick one, and that's your focus for 14 days. That's really good. That's magic right there. Because I always think of the Chinese proverb: if you chase many rabbits, catch none. Chase one, you will catch it every time because you're focused on that one, and you will outsmart it eventually. Maybe not outrun it, but you'll outsmart it.
That is a damn good proverb. And it's so true. But I think we have this because right now in our culture, we're very easily distracted, diverted. Yeah. It's like the shiny object syndrome is like everywhere. I'm the same way, but I'm just trying to teach people how to like focus in on one thing. And then the 14-day intensives they're all good. Like any of my challenges, my intensives, I want to help people.
I can tell.
Really live their best life and not do what I did, which was I waited till I was confronted with my own mortality before I was like, all right, get your shit together.
Right. Well, now it is together and you're helping others. And you'd be such a great big sister, mom, friend that I always call them that we all need a BBF. You're going to love this. I think every woman needs a BBF, that business best friend. And they're the type of best friend that you can call them in the middle of the night. And I could say, Barbara, I have a dead body in the trunk. And all Barbara would say to me was, I've got my shovel.
Yeah.
Where do you need me? They don't say, now who on earth is in that trunk? And what did you do now? And oh my gosh, and what trouble are you into now? It's just like, I'm here. I've got your shovel. Let's go shovel. And that is that camaraderie that you need. I feel like you're that person to your clients that, look, you said you're going to do this. So don't give me excuses. If you want it, there you go. If not, well,
I'm a ride or die kind of girl. And I'm also a no bullshit of like excuses. Your goals don't care. Like you said you wanted this. And also like, of course you're going to have bad days. I think everybody thinks we live in this silo and you're just going to be like David Gogginsing your life every single day. And it is so unrealistic. And I just try to
it looks like a Facebook feed every day.
Like David go, drive, win, kill, hurt. Like, okay. Let me just regulate the bullshit. Bullshit. You have to show up. You have to show up consistently. Yes, you're going to have a day. But that one day or one bad decision doesn't mean like you're on a trajectory to trash. Let's go. Like pick like we're lifing. We have distractions, we have discouragements, we have disappointments, but it's getting back in the zone. And I think that's where my magic is, because I have experienced all those things and I've gotten, I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I wasn't born with some great metabolism or physique or anything like that. I'm like, I fight hard. I fight hard to stay in my same pant size. But and sometimes I fail. Sometimes I'm like, like right now, actually my pants are a little on the snuggy.
Well, it's been Thanksgiving. It's okay, But Barbara, I put up your website. Is that where people go? Because I want to just land, as we say in Clubhouse, we need to land our plane. And I want to make sure we just touch on your podcast because I love podcasts. And so I put up your website, BarbaraMajeski.com. Is that where, no matter when they're listening to this or watching this down the road in the future, is that where they can go to find what your next challenges or your most recent challenges are to get in on them?
Absolutely. And my podcast is called Bearing It All, which is all about the grit behind the glamour. I help dive into the backstories of celebrities, CEOs, influencers, and entrepreneurs. And I like to say everyone had chapters they didn't read out loud. And that's what I
Ooh,
expose.
I
Yep.
like that. Ooh, you're exposing us.
And you know what? People are willing to talk about it. And what
Mhm.
I love, honestly, Aurea, is that even though like I just think that being okay with the skeletons in your closet, man, and getting rid of shame and like regret and all that, man, it's not only liberating for my people that I interview, but the listeners can maybe take a look at what they're like being shameful about and say, you know what, I have nothing to be ashamed about. We're all operating from our highest state of consciousness at any given time. And sometimes we're a little bit more conscious than others, but as
Mhm.
long as we're a work in progress, we can still be a hot mess simultaneously.
And what you said resonates with what you said earlier when we talked about Oprah. I remember Oprah when all those skeletons were going to come out of her closet of her past. She hit it head on. She wanted to be the one to tell the story. I mean, like, who would ever blame a child? I mean, for what her childhood was.
Did you
Like,
hear me on Clubhouse that one day?
did
Was
she
that
what?
I talked about that on Clubhouse the other day,
Did
about
you?
how
That is
I
where I
did.
heard it. See, you're rubbing
So
off on me. Talk to
what
me.
I yeah, what I was talking about was when Oprah came out, so somebody was trying to blackmail her.
That was it. Yeah, it was you.
Yes.
Okay.
So someone was trying to blackmail Oprah when she was like at the height of her career.
Yeah.
And they were like, pay me gazillions, or I'm going to tell everyone that you were pregnant at 14 and you lost a child and all this thing. And she went on TV and she told her shit.
Good
She just
for her.
threw her dirty laundry in America's face, and not like that didn't come out as I wanted to, but she was like, I will not allow anybody to shame me or blackmail me. And she told this crazy story that broke my heart in 1,042 places. She was molested and ultimately
Mhm.
raped
Yeah.
as a young child, as a pre-adolescent. She got pregnant. She was under so much stress that actually she lost the baby. She wasn't able to bring the baby to full term. Her mother kicked her out. She lived with her father. But somebody knew this story and was like, I'm going to tell all your fans what happened to you. And she got ahead of it. And I felt that was such a powerful move on her behalf. I'm
Really
like,
was.
there is no shame in your story game. You
That made us love
own,
her more. That
oh,
made us love her
I,
more.
we, oh my God. I
I
was
would
like,
love to know people are real people. Don't people look down on people like the royalty, like, oh, you were born rich? You know, we don't even, they talk down about you. Find someone like Oprah that built from that. None of us have an excuse. I use her an example all the time. Look at Oprah. She was not born queen of anything. And not even that.
her
You think,
grandmother told her, if you're lucky, you'll work for a good white family or something like that. I was
yep,
like,
she had
and
everything
Oprah was
together.
like, yeah, no, I'm gonna like, so anyway, I draw so much inspiration. That's why I run my podcast, is I want to help other people see other people's stories
Yeah.
and see
Awesome.
light in their own of like, listen, it's not where you came from, it's where you're going. And
Yeah.
part of what you experienced can be a catapult for success. And your thoughts are either sabotaging you or supporting you. And I just felt that moment that she came out and shared that story liberated so many people from things that they were taught to be shameful of. And instead she was like, I will not carry shame with me and allow somebody to use my story against me. And I will forever love her for that. So
I'm right with you. Absolutely. So I love the name of your podcast, Bearing It All. Can't wait to even listen to more of the episodes. Y'all catch Barbara Majeski podcasting. You listen to this one, go over, subscribe to hers, Bearing It All. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to the next episode, to the next season, all the good stuff. So as we close this up, Barbara, you've been such a treasure, so much fun, and so open and so honest. You truly do want to help others. I see that you're willing to just bear it all. So what a great title to your podcast.
well, I got to
Love
take a picture. I got to take a picture because we got to put this on social. So smile.
Okay.
Okay. There we
Look
go.
at you, so sweet. Hey, I will be purpose and all that good stuff. So I have a question for you before we close up. I've got the one that I always ask all my guests, but before I get to that one, Barbara, what is your wildest dream? I mean, you've done so much. You've done the Today Show. What else? But what's your wildest dream now?
Ooh, my wildest dream.
Come on.
Oh, I just wanna continue living my best life. I hope to have a ski house out in, out west in Aspen or Vail or
Okay,
Deer
good.
Valley, and really just have gatherings with my family. I hope to be married again at some point in my life. I say that and I believe it. I want the big stink of life. I want a big, like, big family, big love, big, gatherings, and I see it at a ski house. I see it, in the snow. I don't know why I'm, like, from the Northeast. I just love
Yeah.
it. And just continuing to help millions of people really live their best life, to get more out of their experience in
Well,
this
you're
lifetime.
living that. You're living that
Mhm.
dream right now, so it's not so wild and crazy. So we'll just add the chalet and the snow and all that good stuff with it. Do you have a celebrity crush?
I don't really, but I did so I've been doing these Peloton rides with Billy Joel. And, like, live
Seriously?
yeah, like, so they play the live music from Shea Stadium, or was it Shea Stadium or was, Yankee
Okay.
Stadium, the house that Ruth built, and I am obsessed with Billy Joel's music. So I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
really have a crush on him because like, I wouldn't do the things. But I just wanna break bread with him, I guess.
Yeah, have dinner with
I
them.
wanna be his
Absolutely.
friend. I wanna be like besties and, like,
And you could.
an array of my dream would be to be, like, in a Denver bar not a Denver bar, but, like, in a bar, like, a downstairs bar, like,
Like
a
piano bar.
pub,
Piano bar.
piano bar in Aspen, and it's snowing, and he's playing the music, and it's just, like, 40 of us in a downstairs bar just drinking brews and doing shots and just, like, Piano Man and, like, just not like, oh, that's my dream.
Okay, no, well, there's your wildest dream answer. That's the answer to the wildest dream. There
That's
you
my
go.
wildest dream
We'll
and
make
my
it happen.
celebrity crush all mixed into one.
I love it. All right. My last question, Barbara, and thank you again for being here, is the question I ask everyone because it's so important to live life on purpose. And you're so on board with that.
Mhm.
What is your legacy? How do you really, truly want to be remembered?
I think I know I wanna be remembered for somebody who advocated for, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of medical choice, and really spoke against the popular narrative, and, I just I really do wanna feel like I'm an advocate on the right side of history, so it's not
You are.
easy, but,
Nothing's easy. It's okay.
that
But you
part
were
is not
definitely a
easy.
voice. You're definitely
Mhm.
gonna be I can see just, you gave a voice to some of the voiceless. You gave a voice to those who didn't have one. You're definitely a supporter and a friend. So I see a lot of really good things in your legacy, and
Thank
your
you.
kids are gonna remember and walk well because of you.
Thank you.
Barbara, thank you so much for being here. I absolutely adore you. BarbaraMajeski.com. Go check her out. Bearing it all on podcasting. See her on the Today Show. She's absolutely magnificent. And I love you, Barbara. Thank you for being here. And hopefully she'll come back next year and give us an update on where she is now, because we can do a whole episode. Where are they now? And Barbara will lead the
I
pack.
love it. Well, thanks,
Thank you,
Araya.
Barbara.
Thanks,
Okay.
Araya.
Bye from Get Celebritized, earn more, live more, so you can give back more. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.